"I can't sit in a hospital all day just because you're scared," my husband said in front of my surgeon. While his phone lit up with Serena's name for the third time, the nurse stopped writing. "Dr. Lynn" looked up from my cancer surgery consent form, and the wife Nathan Cole was abandoning for a beach trip with his first love, slowly took off my wedding ring under the table. "In my last life, I begged him to stay in this life." I saved the screenshot of Serena's message, folded my medical record into my bag, and texted my lawyer one sentence: "Start the divorce papers. Also, pull every founding document for the firm." Nathan did not notice. He was too busy telling another woman, "I'll be there by sunset." The first thing I heard after I came back to life was the sound of my husband lying. "No, don't cry," Nathan murmured into his phone. I said, "I'll handle it. Evelyn has doctors. You have me." My eyes opened to white ceiling tiles, fluorescent lights, and the sharp antiseptic smell of the oncology wing at St. Agnes Medical Center. For a moment, I thought hell looked exactly like a hospital. Then I saw the paper in front of me: surgical consent form, patient name, Evelyn Hart Cole, procedure, partial mastectomy with sentinel lymph node biopsy, date, October 18. My hands went cold, not from fear, from memory. I knew this day. I knew the hum of the lights, the blue pen beside the consent form, the tiny crack in the plastic arm of the chair. I knew the cup of water Nathan had placed too far from me, as if even helping me drink was an inconvenience. I knew the next 24 hours too. Nathan would tell me he had an emergency client meeting in San Diego. He would kiss my forehead in the hospital parking lot and promise to be back before surgery. Then he would board a flight to Palm Coast with Serena Vale, the woman he once called his almost wife. I would wake from anesthesia alone. I would ask the nurse if my husband had come. She would hesitate. That hesitation would break me more cleanly than any scalpel. 3 years later, after complications, relapse, stress, and a body worn down by betrayal, I would die in the house I paid for while Nathan argued with lawyers over whether my remaining shares in Hart & Cole Strategy should naturally remain with the marital estate. In my last life, I learned too late that the company was still mine in every way that mattered. My capital had launched it, my contacts had built it, my legal clauses had protected it, my signature had given Nathan power, and my silence had let him keep it. Now I was back. Nathan stood near the window with his back half turned to me. He wore a charcoal suit, no tie, the same one from my memory, the one he had packed for a fake business meeting and later worn in Serena's beach photos. He lowered his voice. "But not enough. Serena, listen to me. I'm not choosing work over you again." I almost laughed. Not choosing work. His wife was sitting 12 feet away with cancer. Dr. Lynn sat across from me, reviewing my chart with professional calm. Though his jaw had tightened, he was a precise man in his early 50s with silver at his temples and the kind of eyes that missed nothing. In my last life, he had been the one who told me I needed rest, stability, and a support system. I had nodded like a fool. I had still believed I had one. "Mrs. Cole," he said gently, "would you like a few minutes?" Nathan turned as if he had only just remembered where he was. "I'm sorry," he said, pressing the phone to his chest. "Important client issue." The lie slid from him easily, maybe because he had practiced it for years. I looked at him, really looked. Nathan Cole was handsome in the polished way that made strangers trust him. Dark blonde hair, warm brown eyes, clean jaw, calm voice. He looked like a man who would hold your hand during bad news. He looked like a husband who would wait outside an operating room with coffee gone cold in his hands. That was the cruelty of him. He looked like every promise he had ever broken. "Which client?" I asked. His expression flickered. "What? You said it's an important client issue. Which client?" His mouth tightened. "Evelyn. This isn't the time." "No," I said, "this seems exactly like the time." Dr. Lynn's pen stopped moving. Nathan gave him a polite, strained smile, then stepped closer to me. "Can we not do this in front of your doctor?" I looked down at the consent form. My name waited for me at the bottom. My body, my risk, my life. In my last life, I had been terrified of signing it without Nathan holding my hand. Now the only thing that frightened me was how close I had come to giving him another chance. His phone buzzed again. The screen faced me for half a second. "Serena, I booked the Ocean Suite. Don't let her guilt you into staying there." It was not a suspicion, not a misunderstanding, not a woman in crisis. A room booked in advance, a plan. I picked up my own phone and opened the camera without changing my expression. I angled it down, as if checking a message, and captured his screen before it dimmed. Nathan did not notice. That was another thing about men who believed they had already won. They stopped watching. "Answer her," I said. He stared at me. "Excuse me, you're clearly worried." His eyes sharpened. "Evelyn, don't be passive-aggressive." "I'm not." My voice sounded strange to me, calm, almost mild in my last life. I cried in this room. I accused him. I asked him whether Serena mattered more than my life. He told me I was being dramatic. Then he left anyway. I had learned that screaming did not make a selfish man ashamed, it only made him feel justified, so I sat still. Nathan put his phone on silent and slid it into his pocket. I'm here now, aren't I, Dr. Lynn cleared his throat. Mr. Cole, we are reviewing the preoperative plan. Tomorrow's procedure is scheduled for 7:30. Mrs. Cole will need someone present for intake and postoperative transport. I know, Nathan said too quickly. Will that be you, A small silence. In that silence, I saw my entire first life like a hallway of locked doors. Nathan's hesitation, my hope, my humiliation, his lie, the nurse's pity, Serena's photo, my mother-in-law's voice telling me a wife should not use illness as a weapon. Nathan smiled. I'll arrange it, Dr. Lynn did not smile back. That was not my question. I almost loved him for that. Nathan's gaze cut toward me. Evelyn knows I have responsibilities. The old me would have rushed to soften the moment. He works so hard. The company needs him. It is just one meeting. She is unstable. I can be brave instead. I leaned back and folded my hands over my lap. Yes, I said, Nathan has responsibilities. For a second, relief loosened his shoulders, then I added, just not to me. His face changed. Evelyn. I slipped my wedding ring off beneath the table. The platinum band resisted at my knuckle. My fingers were thinner than they had been in the life I remembered, but not weak, not yet. I twisted once, pulled, and felt the ring come free. I placed it on top of the consent form. The sound was small. It still made Nathan look down. What are you doing? He asked, making things clear. Dr. Lynn looked from the ring to my face, then quietly pushed the tissue box closer. I didn't need it. I'll sign for my own surgery. I said, I'll arrange my own transport. I'll update my emergency contact. Nathan let out a short laugh. This is ridiculous. No, what's ridiculous is you taking a call from your ex in my oncology appointment and calling it a client issue. Color rose in his face. Dr. Lynn's expression did not change, but his gaze moved briefly to Nathan's pocket. He had heard enough. Good. Nathan stepped closer. Can we speak outside? No, Evelyn. I am not going to have a marriage argument in front of your surgeon. Then don't. I picked up the pen and signed the consent form. My hand did not shake. The signature looked exactly like mine from the first life. Clean, controlled, a little sharp at the end. Dr. Lynn took the paper and placed it in my file. Will update the contact information at the front desk. Thank you, I said. Nathan stood there with his polished shoes and his expensive watch and his stunned expression, as if the script had changed and no one had handed him the new pages. He was right, it had changed. I stood carefully. My body was tired. The cancer had already taught it caution, but my mind was awake in a way it had not been for years. Nathan reached for my elbow. I moved before he touched me. His hand closed on air that, more than anything, seemed to insult him. Evelyn, he said, voice low, don't punish me because you're scared. I looked at him. There it was again, his favorite trick, take the harm he caused and rename it as my emotional flaw. I was not betrayed. I was scared. I was not abandoned. I was dramatic. I was not setting a boundary. I was punishing him. I'm not scared of surgery anymore, I said. His eyes searched mine. Then what are you scared of? I picked up my bag. Wasting another life on you. He went still for one heartbeat. I thought he understood, then his face hardened. You're under stress, he said. I'm not going to take this seriously. You should. I walked to the door behind me. Dr. Lynn said, Mrs. Cole, my nurse will help you update the forms. I nodded. Nathan followed me into the hallway. The oncology wing was busy in that quiet way hospitals are busy. Soft shoes, low voices, rolling carts, people carrying fear in folders, people trying not to cry in front of strangers. Nathan caught up near the elevators. Stop, he said. I kept walking. He stepped in front of me, forcing me to stop. What exactly do you think you're doing? Changing my emergency contact. His jaw flexed. To who? My lawyer. That's not funny. I'm not laughing. The elevator doors opened. A nurse pushed out an empty wheelchair. Nathan waited until she passed, then leaned closer. You don't get to use this illness to control me. I studied him in my last life. That sentence had made me collapse. It had made me apologize. Imagine that. I apologized to the man who was about to abandon me on an operating table. This time, it sounded almost useful. Another piece of evidence. I opened my phone and tapped the recorder icon. The red dot was already on. Say that again, I said. What? You said I'm using cancer to control you. Say it again. He stared at my phone, then at me. His face lost color. You're recording me? Yes, Evelyn. What the hell? For clarity. This is insane. No, insane was me believing you the first time. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Nathan frowned. The first time, I looked away too soon. I had to be careful. I had memories, but I could not explain them. I could not say, in 3 years. You will stand in our kitchen while I am too weak to climb the stairs and tell your lawyer that my shares should pass to you because stress had compromised my judgment. He would call me unstable. He would use it, so I smiled faintly. The first time you promised Serena was in the past. His expression closed. She is in the past. Then why is she waiting for you in an ocean suite? The elevator doors opened behind him. Neither of us moved. His silence answered. I stepped around him and entered the elevator. He followed. Of course he did. Control does not like closed doors. The ride down was slow. A woman in a pink knit cap stood beside us, holding a paper bag of medication. A teenage boy leaned against the wall with earbuds in. Nathan forced himself not to speak. I watched the floor numbers descend. 4, 3, 2, 1. By the time the doors opened, I had already sent 3 files to myself. The screenshot of Serena's message, the audio recording, and a photo of Nathan's call log visible on his phone during my oncology appointment at the front desk. I updated my emergency contact to Maya Reed. The receptionist looked surprised. Not your spouse? No. Nathan laughed under his breath. This is childish. The receptionist's fingers hovered over the keyboard. I looked at her name tag. Amelia. I said softly, please note that I do not authorize my husband to make medical decisions on my behalf. Nathan's smile disappeared. Amelia's professionalism snapped into place. Of course, Evelyn, Nathan said. I did not turn. Please also note that I do not authorize release of medical details to him without my written consent. Amelia typed, done. Nathan's voice went quiet and dangerous. You're making a mistake. No, I said, I already made it 6 years ago. That was the year I married him. He heard it. So did Amelia. So did the older man sitting nearby with a cane. Public humiliation had always been Nathan's weapon. He liked to correct me in front of people, gently enough that outsiders thought he was reasonable. He liked to make me seem emotional. He liked to tilt his head and say, Evelyn, breathe, as if I were a child throwing a tantrum. Now his own mask was slipping under fluorescent lights. He grabbed my wrist, not hard enough to bruise, hard enough to remind me he thought he could. I looked down at his hand, then I looked at Amelia. Please call security. Nathan released me instantly. I didn't hurt you, he snapped. No, I said, you just forgot witnesses exist. The older man with the cane stared openly. Amelia reached for the phone. Nathan stepped back, both hands raised, face flushed. Fine, fine. You want drama? Have it. I have a plane to catch. There, the word landed. Plane. I lifted my eyes to his. A plane to a client meeting. He opened his mouth, closed it, recovered. Yes. Which client? Again, silence. He adjusted his cufflinks. You wouldn't understand the account. It almost amazed me. How many insults could fit inside one sentence? I understand enough. He leaned close again, voice lowered. When you calm down, call me. I am not canceling an important trip because you decided to test me. I smiled. It was the first real smile I had given him that morning. Enjoy Palm Coast. His eyes widened. I walked away before he could ask how I knew. Outside, the October air was cool and sharp. I stood beneath the hospital entrance awning, breathing carefully, not deeply. Deep breaths pulled at the tightness in my chest, but steadily. My phone buzzed. Serena had sent another message, this time directly to me. A photo loaded slowly. 2 boarding passes on a polished airport bar. Nathan Cole, Serena Vale. Her caption was simple. Some people show up for the woman they truly love. In my last life, that message had destroyed me. I had sat in a hospital restroom and vomited until a nurse knocked on the door. This time, I saved it to 3 places. Then I forwarded it to Maya. Her reply came within 30 seconds. Maya, tell me you did not sign anything he gave you. My stomach tightened, because suddenly I remembered, after leaving the hospital in my last life, Nathan had driven me home. He had been gentle by then, apologetic. He had made tea. He had sat beside me on our bed and said the company needed a temporary continuity plan before my surgery. Just in case, he had said. The document had looked simple, a limited authorization. I had signed it because I thought love meant trust. That signature had given him the power to call an emergency board meeting during my recovery and present himself as acting managing partner. From there, everything had been slow theft covered in concern. You need to rest. Let Nathan handle it. Your health comes first. Don't be selfish. I gripped my phone. Evelyn, I haven't signed. I'm going home now. Maya, don't go alone if he may be there. Evelyn, he's going to the airport. Maya, then go fast. Photograph every document. Bring me originals if you can. I looked toward the pickup lane. Nathan's car was already gone. For the first time that morning, my knees trembled, not because he had left, because I had let him leave and I had not broken I ordered a rideshare and watched the hospital doors slide open and closed. People came out changed, some carried bad news, some carried flowers, some carried nothing because the thing they had lost could not be held. I carried my second chance in a black leather bag. Our house sat in Maple Ridge, an expensive suburb with clean sidewalks, old trees, and neighbors who waved only when they recognized your car. It had 4 bedrooms, 3 fireplaces, and a kitchen Nathan liked to call ours in interviews. I had paid the down payment with money from the first company I sold at 29. The deed listed both names because I had believed marriage was partnership. Another lesson: the house was quiet when I arrived. Nathan had left in a hurry, his coffee cup sat on the island, a navy garment bag was missing from the hall closet, the framed wedding photo still stood beside the staircase. I stopped in front of it. In the picture, Nathan was laughing. I was looking at him, not the camera. That was the whole marriage in one image. I turned the frame face down, then I went upstairs. I did not pack clothes first. Clothes could wait, documents could not. In the home office, Nathan's side of the room was all display. Awards, framed articles, photos with clients, a shelf of leadership books he had skimmed but never finished. My side was files. Real work rarely looks glamorous. I unlocked the lower cabinet with the key I still kept on my bracelet. Nathan never paid attention to keys. He believed digital access was power. He forgot that paper could still ruin a man. Inside were the original formation documents for Heart and Coal strategy. Before it became Heart and Coal, it had been Heart Advisory Group, mine the first. Operating agreement showed my 80% ownership and Nathan's advisory role. Later amendments gave him public-facing authority but never majority control. I found a protection clause required my written consent for any change in ownership, voting rights, sale, merger, debt assumption, or executive restructuring. In my last life, I had been too ill, too medicated, and too emotionally broken to remember the clause. Maya had found it after my death. I knew because I had watched Nathan burn the copy in our fireplace. Maybe death makes memory cruel. Maybe mercy would have been forgetting. I pulled the documents out and placed them on the desk. Then I found the authorization form Nathan had prepared. It sat in a folder labeled Surgical Continuity Plan. He had always been good at naming theft something responsible. I opened it, my mouth went dry. It was broader than I remembered, not just temporary authority. It granted him power to execute contracts, restructure internal leadership, access company accounts, represent my interests in shareholder decisions, and approve necessary asset protections during my medical incapacity. I wasn't incapacitated. I was scheduled for surgery. The difference mattered. He knew it mattered. He had hoped I wouldn't. I photographed every page. Then I noticed a sticky note attached to the final signature page. N. Get her to sign before anesthesia. M. Says fear will make her agreeable. S. I stared at the handwriting. Serena, not just waiting at the airport helping him take my company. In my last life, I had thought she wanted my husband. Now I understood. She wanted access to the life my work had built. I put the sticky note into a plastic sleeve. My phone rang. Nathan. I let it ring. He called again, then a message. Nathan, don't act like this. The document is for your protection. Sign it before tomorrow. Mom will come by tonight to explain if needed. I almost laughed. His mother, of course. Margaret Cole had never forgiven me for being the reason her son became successful without being the source of his success. She loved the company because it made Nathan look powerful. She hated me because I knew who had built it. Another message came. Nathan, I need you stable. Don't embarrass us. I saved it. Then I wrote back. Evelyn, send me the client name for your meeting. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Nathan, not now. Evelyn, then don't contact me during your trip. Nathan, my trip. Evelyn, enjoy the ocean suite. He did not reply. I worked quickly after that. I photographed the authorization document, the old operating agreement, the founder clause, the investment records, and the client acquisition logs from our first 2 years. Then I opened the desk drawer where we kept household financial files, joint credit card statements, mortgage records, insurance policies. My life had once disappeared under the weight of things I had signed without reading because I trusted my husband. I would not make that mistake twice. At the bottom of the drawer was a folder I did not recognize. It was new, or maybe I had never looked. Inside were printed emails between Nathan and someone named M. Cole, his mother. Subject, Evelyn's medical leave. Margaret had written, if she resists, remind her that stress worsens cancer. Everyone will agree she should step back. The board likes Nathan. Clients trust Nathan. Evelyn is brilliant but cold. This may be the best time to simplify leadership. Simplify. I sat back in the chair. My heart beat hard, but not wildly. This was not a crime of passion. It was a plan. They had seen my illness not as a tragedy, But as timing, I scanned the emails, forwarded them to Maya, then I called the bank. By the time the sun started sliding down behind the trees, I had removed Nathan's access to 2 personal accounts, frozen 1 joint credit card pending review, changed my passwords, requested copies of all household statements, and scheduled an urgent appointment at Maya's office for 7 that evening. My body ached. The doctor had warned me to avoid stress. Too late. Stress had shared my bed for 6 years. At 5:30, the doorbell rang. I checked the camera. Margaret Cole stood on my porch in a cream coat, pearls at her throat, mouth already arranged into disappointment. She held a casserole dish. That was Margaret's genius. She could come to rob you and make it look like family dinner. I did not open the door immediately. She rang again, then knocked. "Evelyn," she called. "I know you're home." I pressed record on my phone and opened the door. Margaret looked me over as if illness were a stain on my blouse. "You look pale." "I have cancer." Her lips tightened. "That attitude is exactly why Nathan is exhausted." "No hello, no concern, just Nathan." She pushed the casserole toward me. "I brought dinner." How thoughtful. She stepped forward. I did not move. The small pause bothered her. "May I come in?" she asked. "No." Her brows rose. "Excuse me, I'm resting." "Then I'll be brief." Her smile sharpened. "Nathan told me you had an episode at the hospital." I almost admired how quickly they rewrote events. "Did he also tell you he took Serena's call during my surgical consult?" Margaret sighed. "That poor girl has been through enough." I stared at her. "There it is." "What?" "The family motto." She frowned. I leaned against the doorframe because standing hurt, and I hated that it hurt. "Serena suffers, so Nathan must go. I suffer, so I must understand." Margaret's face hardened. "Serena and Nathan have history. Nathan and I have vows. Marriage is not ownership." "No, but surgery is not a scheduling inconvenience." She glanced past me into the house. "Where is the authorization form?" I smiled. Her gaze snapped back. "You came for that." "I came to help you think clearly." "No, you came to make sure I signed away the company before anesthesia." Margaret's nostrils flared. "Just slightly. Enough. You are being dramatic. Everyone keeps using that word today, because it fits." I lifted my phone. "Say more." Her eyes dropped to the screen. Recording. For the first time since I had known her, Margaret Cole had nothing to say. Then she recovered, smooth as polished stone. "You should be careful, Evelyn. People are sympathetic when a woman is sick, less so when she becomes vindictive." That sounds like advice from experience. Her mouth thinned. I handed the casserole back. She did not take it, so I placed it on the porch table. "Tell Nathan I won't sign. You may regret that." I already know what regret feels like. For 1 second, something like confusion crossed her face. "Good, let them wonder." I closed the door. My hands shook only after the lock clicked. I leaned my forehead against the wood and let myself breathe. 1 breath, 2, 3. Then I went back upstairs, placed the original documents into a fireproof case, and walked out of the house I had once thought I would die in. Maya's office was on the 42nd floor of a glass building downtown. She had been my college roommate, then my attorney, then in my last life the only person who fought for what was left of me after I no longer could. Now she opened her office door herself. She took one look at my face and did not waste time on pity. "Sit," she said. "Give me everything." I did. Screenshots, audio, medical forms, authorization documents, founding papers, Margaret's emails, Serena's sticky note. Maya read in silence. Her office smelled faintly of coffee and paper. Outside the windows, the city glittered as if nothing ugly ever happened inside expensive homes. When Maya reached the sticky note, she swore under her breath. "Evelyn, I know, no, I need you to understand. This isn't just emotional betrayal, this is coordinated pressure to obtain authority over your business while you're medically vulnerable. I know." Her eyes lifted. "Do you?" I looked down at my bare finger. The skin where the ring had been was pale. I died before I understood it the first time. Maya went still. I closed my eyes briefly. That sounded dramatic. It sounded honest. I opened them. Maya did not ask me to explain. That was one reason I trusted her. She knew when facts mattered more than metaphysics. "What do you want?" she asked. The question was simple. It still hit me hard. In my last life, everyone asked what Nathan needed. The company needed stability. The family needed unity. Serena needed compassion. Nathan needed understanding. No one asked what I wanted until I was too tired to answer. Now I did. I want a medical directive removing him. I want divorce papers. I want my personal accounts locked. I want his access to company systems reviewed. I want to revoke every authorization that allows him to act on my behalf. I want a board packet prepared, but not sent yet. And I want proof of every dollar of company money he spent on Serena. Maya's smile was small and fierce. "There she is." The words almost broke me, not because they were grand, because they recognized me. I swallowed. "Can we do it before surgery?" We can do the urgent pieces tonight. She pulled a yellow legal pad toward her. First, healthcare proxy. Second, revocation of spousal access for medical records. Third, notice to the bank. Fourth, preservation letter to the company. Fifth, we contact Oliver. I looked up. Oliver Grant. He called me 2 months ago. My pulse jumped. Why? He was worried about irregular reimbursements under Nathan's executive account. I told him I couldn't advise him unless you authorized it. In my first life, Oliver had resigned 6 months after my surgery. Nathan said Oliver had burned out. Later, I heard rumors that he had questioned company spending and been pushed out. Another thread pulled tight. Call him, I said. Maya did. Oliver answered on the second ring. His voice sounded cautious. Maya, it's Evelyn, I said. A pause, then, quieter. Are you all right? No, but I'm awake. I heard him exhale. I've been hoping you'd call. Maya put the phone on speaker. Oliver told us everything he had been afraid to put in email. Nathan had classified several personal expenses as client development, resort deposits, boutique purchases, private car services, flights under Serena's consulting project code. There was, apparently, a project named SV Transition Strategy. Serena Vale, transition into what? I wondered. My marriage. My company, my life. Oliver had copied receipts because Nathan's assistant asked him to clean up the coding before quarterly review. He had refused to alter records without written approval. 2 days later, Nathan had excluded him from leadership finance meetings. Do you still have the records? Maya asked. Yes, send them to my secure link. Oliver hesitated. Is Evelyn safe? The question made my throat tighten. Yes, I said, for the first time in years. After the call ended, Maya prepared documents while I signed where she told me to sign this time. Every signature returned power to me at 9:30. My phone buzzed again. Nathan. I ignored it. Then he sent a photo, a sunset over water, no caption. He wanted me to ask, he wanted me to bleed. A minute later, Serena posted publicly a photo of her bare feet on a balcony, a man's suit jacket draped over the chair beside her. Nathan's jacket. I knew the lining. I had chosen it. Her caption read, healing looks different when you are finally with the person who should have chosen you years ago. Maya saw my face. Don't reply, she said. I'm not. I saved it. Then I opened my banking app and cancelled the automatic monthly transfer to Nathan's personal investment account. The transfer had started 3 years into our marriage when Nathan said he wanted financial independence from the business optics. I had been proud to help. $20,000 a month for 3 years. I clicked cancel. The app asked if I was sure I was. Maya watched me. Feel better? No, I said, but I feel clearer. At 10:15, she handed me a folder. Your surgery is tomorrow. Focus on surviving. Let me handle service of the documents after you're stable. No, her eyes narrowed. Evelyn, I want him served when he lands back. That gives you 48 hours. Good. Are you sure? I looked at the city below. In my last life, I waited for Nathan to choose me. This time, he would come home to find there was nothing left for him to choose. Yes, I said, I'm sure. At midnight, I checked into a hotel 2 blocks from the hospital. Not our house, not our bed, not the room where Nathan had told me I was hard to love when I was afraid. I placed the fireproof case beside the bed, plugged in my phone, and opened one final message from Nathan. Nathan, I hope you're done embarrassing us tomorrow. Sign the papers in the morning. Mom says she'll come by. I typed back one sentence. Evelyn, do not come to the hospital. Then I blocked him until morning. Sleep did not come easily. Pain and memory curled around me. I remembered waking alone. I remembered the nurse saying, he hasn't arrived yet. I remembered pretending I was fine because humiliation felt worse when witnessed. But this time, beside my bed, there was a folder with my name on it, not Mrs. Cole, Evelyn Hart. And for the first time since my diagnosis, I did not pray for my husband to come back. I prayed for the strength to leave him behind. At 6 the next morning, Margaret Cole tried to enter my hospital room with a tote bag full of documents and the confidence of a woman who had never been told no by someone she considered family property. The nurse stopped her at the door. I'm her mother-in-law, Margaret said. The nurse checked the chart. You're not listed as an approved visitor. Margaret laughed softly. There must be some mistake. I sat upright in the bed, wearing a hospital gown and no wedding ring, watching the mistake introduce itself to reality. There isn't, I said. Margaret's eyes found mine through the doorway. For once, she had to ask permission in a place where my name mattered more than hers. Evelyn, she said, voice sweet for the hallway, I brought the documents Nathan asked you to review. I'm scheduled for surgery in 90 minutes. Exactly why we shouldn't delay. The nurse's expression changed. So did Dr. Lynn's, where he stood behind her holding my chart. What documents? He asked. Margaret blinked at him. Family business. No, I said, company control authorization. The nurse's mouth parted. Dr. Lynn stepped fully into view. Mrs. Cole is not signing non-medical business documents before anesthesia. Margaret gave him a polished smile. Doctor, we appreciate your concern, but Evelyn's company has hundreds of employees. Her husband is only trying to protect. Her husband is not her medical proxy. Dr. Lynn said. Margaret's smile froze. I did not say anything. I did not have to. In my last life, I had faced Margaret alone in my bedroom, dizzy from fasting and fear. While she told me strong wives made hard decisions quietly, she placed the pen in my hand. Nathan kissed my hair. I signed this time. My doctor stood between me and the pen, not to save me, to witness that I had already saved myself. Margaret recovered. Evelyn, may I speak to you privately? No. Her gaze sharpened. The hallway had gone quiet around us. 2 nurses at the station were pretending not to listen. A man in scrubs slowed as he passed. Public dignity mattered to Margaret more than truth. Good. Let truth borrow the microphone. You are being influenced, she said, by my surgeon, by fear. I smiled faintly. I've been hearing that a lot. She lowered her voice. Nathan is under enormous pressure. He flew out for one night because Serena had a breakdown. You know her history with depression. There it was again. Serena's pain as universal currency, my tumor as inconvenience. Nathan flew to Palm Coast the night before my cancer surgery. I said clearly. He lied and called it a client meeting. Serena sent me the boarding passes. The nurse looked at Margaret. Dr. Lynn closed my chart with a soft snap. Margaret's nostrils flared. This is not appropriate. No, I said, it isn't. You're humiliating your husband. He did that himself. Her hand tightened on the tote strap. You will regret turning family matters into public scenes. I learned from Nathan. That landed. Margaret looked toward the nurse, then the doctor, then back at me. You think these people care about your marriage, she said quietly. No, that's why I trust them. They care about my consent. For a moment, she looked older, not softer, just older. Control ages badly when it fails. Dr. Lynn nodded to the nurse. Please document that Mrs. Cole declined to receive non-medical legal documents before surgery. I'll make a note, the nurse said. Margaret's face flushed. You're making enemies, she said. I'm correcting the list. She had nothing left that would sound good in public, so she left. Her heels clicked down the hallway like punctuation. The nurse turned to me. Are you okay? I looked at the door, then at the four-port taped to my hand. Not yet, I said, but I will be. Surgery prep moved quickly. After that there is a strange mercy in medical routine. Blood pressure cuff, temperature, consent confirmation, allergy check, name and date of birth. The body becomes a checklist when the heart is too tired to be trusted. Dr. Lynn came in one more time before they wheeled me back. Your legal contact is Maya Reed? He asked. Yes, she's in the waiting area. My throat tightened. Maya's here. She said she has paperwork, a laptop, and no intention of leaving. I blinked hard. In my last life, the waiting room had been empty. This time, my lawyer sat outside with my documents like a guard dog in heels. Dr. Lynn's voice softened. You have the right to choose who stands near you. It sounded simple. It was not. For years, Nathan had stood near me in photographs, at galas, on company websites, beside hospital beds when cameras or relatives were present. I had mistaken proximity for loyalty. I knew better now. As the anesthesiologist checked my wristband, my phone buzzed one final time. Unknown number. I opened it. A message from Serena. He's with me. You should stop making him feel guilty. Stress isn't good for cancer. Evelyn. Attached was a photo of Nathan asleep in a hotel bed, shirt open at the collar, Serena's hand resting on his chest. The timestamp was 2:13 a.m. I stared at it, not because it surprised me, because even after death, after rebirth, after all my careful planning, a small part of me still felt the blade. Love does not die all at once. Sometimes it dies in humiliating installments. The nurse saw my face. Do you need a minute? No. I saved the photo, forwarded it to Maya, then I turned off my phone. Ready? The anesthesiologist asked. I looked at the ceiling, white lights, moving tiles, the cold breath of the operating room ahead. In my last life, my final thought before anesthesia had been, please let him come this time. My final thought was different. Let him stay gone long enough for me to become free. When I woke, pain found me first. Not dramatic pain, not the kind novels describe as fire. It was pressure, weight, a deep soreness under bandages and medication. My mouth was dry, my tongue felt too large. Machines beeped with steady indifference. Someone held my hand. For one terrifying second, I thought it was Nathan. Then I saw Maya. Her hair was pulled into a severe bun. Her mascara had smudged slightly under one eye. She looked furious and relieved. Hey, she said. My voice came out rough. Did I live? She laughed once, then covered her mouth. Yes, you dramatic woman. You lived. I closed my eyes. The relief was not beautiful, it was ugly. It leaked down my temples into my hairline. I cried without sobbing because sobbing hurt. Maya squeezed my hand. Dr. Lynn said it went well. She said, they'll have pathology follow-up, but the procedure itself was successful. I nodded. Did he call? I asked. I hated that I asked, but healing begins with honesty, not pride. Maya's face changed. Yes, I opened my eyes. He called the hospital. No, he called me. What did he say? He asked whether you had signed the authorization. For a moment, the room blurred. Not from tears, from the sheer, clean violence of understanding. I had just come out of cancer surgery, and my husband's first question was whether I had given him the company. Did he ask if I was alive? Maya's silence answered. I turned my face toward the window outside. Afternoon light touched the glass of the building across the street. Somewhere in that city, people were buying coffee, missing trains, kissing on sidewalks, complaining about emails. Life continued with offensive ease. Read me. What you sent him, I said. Maya hesitated. You should rest. Read it. She pulled out her phone. I said, Mrs. Hart Cole is out of surgery and recovering. She did not and will not sign the authorization document. Any further attempt to obtain business authority during her medical treatment will be treated as evidence of coercion. I breathed carefully. And then he called me a vulture. I almost smiled. Accurate. I prefer hawk. The smile hurt my incision. Worth it. Then Maya's expression turned serious. He lands tonight. Good. I had him served electronically with the medical access revocation and preservation notice. Divorce papers will be served physically tomorrow morning at the house unless you want to wait. No waiting. Evelyn. I looked at her. Maya had the face she wore in court before asking a question that could ruin someone. You just had surgery. The first weeks will be physically hard. Nathan will use concern, guilt, anger, family, reputation, maybe the press if he panics. Are you ready for that while recovering? No, of course not. My body was cut open. My marriage was rotting. My company was under threat. My husband was in another woman's bed. I was exhausted. But readiness had nothing to do with it. In my last life, I waited until I felt strong. Strength never came this time. I would act while weak and let action build strength behind me. I'm ready enough, I said. Maya nodded. Then we move. The next morning, Nathan came to the hospital not because he loved me, because he had been locked out. I knew the exact moment he arrived because voices rose in the hallway. You can't keep me from my wife, he said. The nurse answered calmly. Mrs. Hart Cole has restricted visitors. I'm her husband. She has restricted visitors. Do you know who I am? That line had never worked on nurses. Nathan should have known better. Maya, sitting beside my bed with her laptop open, looked delighted. He's making this so easy. I was propped against pillows, pale and sore, but lucid, drains tucked beneath my gown, bandages tight, hair braided by Maya because I could not lift my arm. I had never felt less glamorous. I had never felt less available for manipulation. Nathan appeared in the doorway after hospital security escorted him only as far as the threshold. He had not shaved. His suit was wrinkled from travel. There were faint red marks near his collarbone. Serena had always liked leaving evidence when she thought I was too weak to use it. His eyes widened when he saw me, maybe because I looked ill, maybe because I looked calm. Evelyn, he said, softening his voice. There it was, the hospital husband voice, the one for witnesses. You shouldn't be here, I said. Pain medication made everything slightly distant, but not unclear. He looked at Maya. Can we have a moment alone? No, I said. His eyes flashed. She's poisoning you against me. Maya kept typing. I wish you brought your own venom. He ignored her. I came as soon as I could. As soon as you landed from Palm Coast, his mouth tightened. I told you, Serena had an emergency. Her ocean suite looked stable. He glanced at the security guard behind him, then lowered his voice. This is cruel. I stared at him. I had cancer surgery yesterday. His expression flickered for a moment. Shame almost reached him, then self-defense got there first, and I have been under impossible pressure trying to keep our company alive while you shut me out. Our company, even here, even now. Maya stopped typing. I lifted my left hand slightly. It hurt, but I wanted him to see the bare finger. Hart and Cole is not dying because I had surgery. No, it's at risk because you're making impulsive legal decisions while medicated. Maya smiled without humor. Careful, Nathan pointed at her. This is exactly what I mean. I spoke before Maya could. You asked about the authorization before asking whether I survived. His face changed. I was told you were stable. No, you asked Maya if I signed. He looked at her. Maya raised her brows. I take excellent notes. Nathan inhaled slowly. Evelyn, I was trying to protect what we built, what I built. He stared at me, the words hung there, small, accurate, fatal. He gave a disbelieving laugh. Wow, yes, I said, that is the appropriate reaction to your audacity. His softness vanished. You think because you signed initial checks, you built the whole firm. No, I think because I brought the first 8 clients, wrote the operating model, funded the launch, negotiated the contracts, and carried delivery while you learned how to speak on panels. I built the firm. His eyes hardened. That was the Nathan most people never saw. Not warm, not reasonable, hungry. You were happy to let me be the face when it benefited you. He said, I was happy to be your partner. You were happy to hide behind me. Maya looked up sharply. I did not flinch. In my last life, that line would have gutted me. I had worried for years that I was difficult, cold, too focused, less charming. Nathan used my insecurities like labeled buttons. Now I saw the trick. You mistook my trust for invisibility. I said. His jaw tightened, then he smiled, not kindly. You're not thinking clearly. Everyone will see that. There it is, Maya said softly. Nathan ignored her. You just had surgery. You're on pain medication. You're angry because Serena needed me. If you start a legal war now, Evelyn, people will question your judgment. I nodded slowly. He thought the threat would scare me. It did not. It clarified the battlefield. You plan to argue I'm medically unstable. I plan to tell the truth. The truth being that your wife removed you from her medical access, refused to sign over company control, and filed for divorce after you skipped her cancer surgery to share a hotel room with your ex. His face flushed dark red. Security shifted behind him. Nathan's voice dropped. You don't want to do this. I already did. Maya closed her laptop and pulled a cream envelope from her bag. Nathan Cole, she said, standing. You've been served. He did not take it. The envelope hovered between them for one strange second. I saw him as he had been when I met him at 28, ambitious, charming, a little insecure beneath the confidence. He used to ask what I thought before every major decision. He used to say my mind made him braver. Maybe that had been love, maybe it had been hunger before it learned manners. Either way, the man in the doorway was not asking what I thought. He was calculating how to take what remained. Security accepted the envelope on his behalf and placed it in Nathan's hand. He stared down at it. Divorce, he said, his voice cracked slightly, not from grief, from disbelief. Men like Nathan believed wives threatened divorce to be chaste. They did not expect paperwork. Yes, I said. He looked at me, and for the first time since I woke in this life, he seemed truly uncertain. Evelyn, stop. We can talk when you're less emotional. I leaned back against the pillows. I am less emotional than I have ever been. His eyes moved over my face, the bandages, the pale skin, the missing ring. You're making a mistake. I had heard that from him, from Margaret, from the ghost of the woman I had been. Maybe mistakes are just choices other people cannot control. No, I said. I'm making a record. Maya stepped beside my bed. Mr. Cole, all communication goes through counsel from now on regarding the divorce, medical restrictions, and company governance. Company governance, he repeated. His voice changed. There it was, the real wound, not the marriage, the firm. Maya smiled. You'll receive the full notice by end of day. Nathan looked back at me. What did you do? I held his gaze. I remembered who owned the door before I let you walk through it. For a moment, I thought he might shout, but public space trapped him. Witnesses trapped him. His own image trapped him, so he did what polished men do when they cannot win honestly. He looked hurt. I hope you don't regret destroying us, he said. I closed my eyes. I already survived you choosing her. Don't flatter yourself. When I opened them again, he was gone. The room was quiet except for the machines. Maya sat down slowly. That was brutal, she said. Too much, not enough. I let out a breath that trembled only at the end. Pain rolled through me. Not just physical, something older and deeper, tearing loose. Maya reached for the call button. You need medication. I need my laptop. You need pain meds. Both. She stared at me. Maya, no, Maya. You just had surgery, and Nathan just got served. He'll run to the company. She looked toward the door, cursed softly, then opened her bag. I hate that you're right. My laptop felt heavier than usual when she placed it on the tray. My hands were clumsy. But my password still worked. For now, I logged into the company admin portal. Nathan's profile was active. Of course it was. I did not remove him. Not yet. Sudden removal without board notice could be spun as instability. Instead, I changed the hierarchy. I restored my founder admin privileges. I revoked his ability to execute contracts above a set threshold without dual approval. I reactivated my direct access to client dashboards. I enabled audit logs. Then I sent one email to Oliver, subject, preserve all records, body, effective immediately. Do not alter, delete, reclassify, or approve any expenses under executive accounts, SV transition strategy, or client development codes. Without written approval from me and legal counsel, I copied Maya, then I paused, my fingers hovered over the keys. There was one more thing, a monthly transfer from my personal account to Nathan's mother for family support, $5,000 a month, supposedly to help Margaret after she downsized. In reality, she lived in a paid-off townhouse and spent her afternoons at charity luncheons. I opened the scheduled payments, cancelled, then I cancelled the payment on Nathan's private car lease. Another arrangement he had called temporary 4 years ago, cancelled. Then the membership dues at the executive club he used to host Serena under client dinners, cancelled one by one. I stopped feeding the machine that had been chewing through me. My phone began buzzing 15 minutes later. Margaret. Nathan, Margaret again, unknown number, then Serena. Maya watched the screen light up. Popular girl. I silenced it. A text from Margaret appeared. You are sick and vindictive. Nathan is trying to save your company while you embarrass him. I saved it. Another, if you cut off support, do not expect this family to stand by you. I stared at that one for a long moment, then I typed back, Evelyn, you already didn't. I blocked her. Serena's message came next, you won't win him by punishing him. I almost admired the arrogance. I replied before blocking her too, Evelyn, I don't want him. That's why you're panicking. Then I closed the phone. By late afternoon, Nathan had gone to the firm. Oliver called Maya first, then patched me in. He's in your office, Oliver said. My office. I had not used it regularly in months because Nathan said clients felt more comfortable when leadership appeared streamlined. He took the corner office. I worked from the strategy room. What is he doing? I asked, looking for original documents. I looked at Maya. She mouthed, too late, they're not there. I said, I know. He doesn't. In the background, I heard a muffled crash. Oliver lowered his voice. He's angry. Good, Evelyn. He's telling people you're having a breakdown. My body went cold despite the blankets. There it was, right on schedule. What exactly did he say? Oliver hesitated. Say it. He said your diagnosis has made you paranoid, that you fired off legal notices after surgery, and that is trying to protect employees from disruption. Maya was already typing. Who heard him? She asked. Finance team. 2 associates. His assistant. Maybe half the floor. I closed my eyes. In my last life, whispers had been one of his sharpest tools. Poor Evelyn, she's not well. Nathan is doing his best. Cancer changes people. No one had said betrayal changes people. Abandonment changes people. Being robbed while sedated changes people. Oliver. I said, yes, do not argue with him. Preserve the security footage from the executive floor. Preserve access logs from my office. Send Maya the names of everyone present. Already started. For the first time that day, something like warmth moved through me. Thank you. He was quiet for a second. I should have pushed harder before. No, I said. He made sure people were afraid. That's on him. After we hung up, Maya studied me. You're shaking. I'm furious. You're recovering. I can be both. She smiled despite herself. Unfortunately true. That night, I slept in fragments. Pain woke me. Memory woke me. My phone lit silently with messages I did not read. At 3 a.m, I dreamed of my first life. Nathan standing at the foot of my bed, telling me Serena needed closure. Margaret telling me cancer had made me selfish. Serena sending me a photo of a diamond bracelet and writing, he said you never liked gifts. The boardroom where Nathan announced my extended leave, my own signature at the bottom of the authorization form, my body thinner, my voice smaller, my ring loose on my finger. Then another image, the fireplace. Nathan burning documents after I died, the flame eating my name. I woke gasping. Maya was asleep in the recliner, one hand still on her laptop. I stared at the dark window. No one was coming to save me. For the first time, the thought did not frighten me, it freed me. By morning, the story had begun spreading. Nathan was controlling the narrative publicly enough to seem subtle. Concerned colleagues sent careful messages. Heard you're taking time away, wishing you healing. Nathan says he's handling client continuity. Let us know if you need anything. No pressure to respond while you recover. Every message sounded kind. Every message revealed the same poison. He had positioned me as absent before I had stepped away. I opened a blank email. Maya stirred. What are you doing? Writing to the leadership team. Let me review it. Yes, I typed slowly. Subject, temporary medical recovery and governance clarity team. Thank you for the kind messages. My surgery was completed successfully, and I am recovering under medical supervision. To avoid confusion, I want to clarify that I have not resigned, transferred authority, or approved any change in ownership, voting rights, executive governance, or client control at Heart & Coal Strategy. All existing governance provisions remain in effect. Any statement suggesting otherwise is inaccurate. During my medical recovery, legal counsel will assist with formal communications where needed. Thank you for respecting privacy and process. Evelyn Hart Cole, founding partner. Maya, read it twice. Clean, she said. Deadly because it's clean. I sent it within 10 minutes. Oliver replied, thank God, within 20 minutes. 3 senior directors asked to speak with me directly when I was able. Within 30 minutes, Nathan called Maya. She answered on speaker. Maya, read. Nathan's voice was tight. Tell Evelyn to stop sending reckless emails. I leaned back and listened. She sent a factual governance clarification. Maya said, she is confusing people. No, she is correcting confusion. She's undermining the firm. Maya glanced at me, by stating she still has authority at the company she founded. A pause, then Nathan said coldly, you're enjoying this. I enjoy documentation. I want to speak to my wife. Your wife requested communication through counsel. She's vulnerable. You're exploiting that. I touched Maya's sleeve. She looked at me. I nodded toward the phone. Maya said, Evelyn is here and heard that. Silence, then Nathan's tone shifted, softened. Evie. The nickname hit like a hand through old glass. He had not called me that in months before my diagnosis. In my last life, he revived it whenever he needed forgiveness. I said nothing. He continued, please, this has gone too far. I made mistakes, but you're escalating while you're hurt. I closed my eyes. There was the hook. I made mistakes, not choices, not betrayal, mistakes. My voice was hoarse but steady. Did you sleep with Serena while I was in surgery? Maya's eyes snapped to me. Nathan inhaled. That is not yes or no. You're asking that on a lawyer's line. Yes. His silence stretched, then he said, you and I were in a bad place. Something inside me went still. There it was, not an apology, a relocation of blame. I opened my eyes. We were in an operating room. I said, you were in a hotel bed. He said my name again. This time, it sounded smaller. I reached over and ended the call. Maya stared at the phone, then at me. That answer will matter, she said. I know. Are you okay? I looked at my bandaged chest, at the window, at the email replies appearing one by one on my laptop. No, I said, but I'm done being useful to people who mistake my suffering for an opening. 3 days after surgery, I left the hospital, not with Nathan, not with Margaret. Maya drove me to a serviced apartment downtown that we rented under my maiden name. It had white walls, wide windows, and no wedding photos. The first night there, I slept for 10 hours. The next morning, I woke to a courier envelope outside my door. No return address. Inside was a single printed photo, Nathan and Serena on the beach at sunset. On the back, written in Serena's looping hand, he always comes back to where he belongs. I sat at the kitchen island and looked at it. In my first life, that sentence would have made me spiral. This time, it made me reach for a clear evidence sleeve. I labeled it, harassment from Serena Vale, post-surgery. Then I made tea. My hands still shook. But the cup was mine, the silence was mine. The next move would be mine too. Recovery teaches you the difference between pain and danger. Pain says, move carefully. Danger says, stay where they can reach you. For years, I had confused the two. The apartment became my small, white-walled country of refusal. I moved slowly from bed to chair to kitchen, measuring the day in medication alarms and emails from Maya. I learned how to wash my hair with one arm. I learned how to sleep propped on pillows. I learned that crying made the incision ache, so I saved tears for the shower, where the water could hide what my pride could not. Nathan sent flowers on the 4th day, white roses. The card read, Evie, come home, we should heal together. No apology, no truth, just a command. Dressed as tenderness, I photographed the card, then asked the concierge to send the flowers to the lobby. Maya came by at noon with soup, binders, and the expression of a woman about to enjoy ruining someone's week. You have options, she said. That sounds expensive. It is, fortunately. You cancelled Nathan's lifestyle subsidies. I smiled into my tea. She spread documents across the kitchen island. First, divorce. He has not responded formally yet, but his attorney contacted me. They're going to argue emotional distress and medical instability if you push aggressive financial terms. Expected. Second, company. Nathan has called an emergency leadership meeting for Friday. I looked up. He doesn't have authority to call a board meeting alone. He's calling it a leadership meeting, not board. Clever enough to be annoying. What's the agenda? Maya slid a printed email toward me. Subject, continuity, client confidence, and leadership alignment. Nathan's name at the bottom. I read it twice. The language was polished, concerned, poisoned. With Evelyn focusing on urgent medical recovery, it is important for leadership to present stability to clients and staff. We will discuss interim communications. decision protocols, and external messaging meaning how to explain my disappearance before I could explain myself. He's moving fast, I said. He has to. The longer you stay lucid, the worse his position gets. Lucid, I hated that word now, it sounded clinical until a husband used it as a weapon. What about the expenses? I asked. Maya opened another folder. Oliver sent everything: resort deposits, flights, a private car from Palm Coast Airport, dinners, spa charges coded as client wellness, a diamond bracelet purchased from a boutique and reimbursed under prospective partner gift. I stared at that one. Prospective partner, I said. Maya's mouth twisted. Could mean client, could mean replacement wife. Also possible. I turned the page. SV transition. Strategy had no signed client agreement, no scope, no deliverables, no invoices issued, just expenses. Nathan had used my company as a wallet for his affair and a staging ground for Serena's entrance into our world. What did Serena think she was getting? I asked. Maya tapped one email. Nathan to Serena: once Evelyn signs the continuity papers, we can position your consulting project properly. Give it a quarter. The board will accept change if it looks gradual. My vision narrowed. There it was, not only betrayal, succession planning. Me out, Serena in. I read the email again and felt something cold settle in my chest. In my last life, Serena had attended the company holiday party 6 months after my surgery. Nathan introduced her as a strategic brand consultant. She hugged me too tightly and whispered, "You look tired." I had smiled because everyone was watching. God, I had smiled so much while being erased. Maya watched my face. "You don't have to read all of it today." "Yes, I do, Evelyn. If I only look at the wound when I feel strong, I'll never clean it." She said nothing after that. We worked for 2 hours, or rather, Maya worked while I read, marked, and remembered. Every document had a twin in my first life. The reimbursement I had never questioned, the consultant role I had been too tired to oppose, the leadership memo that made my absence sound voluntary, the client call where Nathan said, "Evelyn is stepping back for health reasons," while his hand rested on my shoulder just firmly enough to keep me seated. Now I saw the architecture. A marriage can be stolen one decision at a time, so can a company. At 3, my phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. It was a screenshot of Serena's social media story. She stood on a balcony in a silk robe, ocean behind her, holding a coffee cup. Caption: "Some women demand rings, others inspire men to choose them without being asked." I looked at the sender, unknown. Then another message came: "Thought you should see what your husband is doing while you play victim." I showed Maya. She frowned. Could be Serena from a burner, could be someone in her circle. Save it. Already forwarding. Another image arrived. Nathan's hand on Serena's waist in a hotel restaurant. I felt pain beneath my bandages and could not tell whether it came from surgery or memory. Maya's voice softened. "Block the number." "No." She paused. "I want every message. That is emotionally expensive." So was marriage. She did not argue that evening. Nathan came to the apartment building. I knew because the concierge called. "MS. Hart, there is a Mr. Nathan Cole here asking to come up." "MS. Hart." The name steadied me. "Please tell him no." A pause. "He says he is your husband. Please tell him no." Another pause. Then the concierge's voice called. "Understood." 10 minutes later, Nathan called from a new number. I answered because Maya was beside me and recording. "What do you want?" I asked, a breath. "Evie, no, I'm downstairs." "I know, let me up." "No, we need to talk face to face." "No, you want to perform concern where someone can see it." His silence sharpened. "I went to our house," he said. "You took documents." "My documents?" "You took company property." "Founder documents are not company property when you're trying to destroy them." "That's a serious accusation. So is coercing a surgical patient." He exhaled hard. "I never coerced you. You sent your mother to my hospital room with business authorization papers 90 minutes before surgery. She was worried about the firm. She was worried I wouldn't be scared enough to sign." Another silence. Then he said, "Serena told me you've been harassing her." For a second, I thought I had misheard. "What? She's getting anonymous messages. People are calling her a homewrecker. She thinks you're behind it." I laughed. It hurt so much I had to press my hand carefully against my side. Nathan's voice hardened. "This isn't funny." "No, it's efficient." She posts another woman's husband from a beach suite during cancer surgery, and the internet reaches the obvious conclusion without my help. She didn't know about the surgery. I went still. Maya's eyes lifted. "She texted me about cancer stress before I went under anesthesia." I said. Nathan did not answer. "She sent me a photo of you in bed at 2:13 in the morning." Still nothing. "Do you want me to forward it to your attorney?" His voice was low when he spoke again. "Why are you doing this to us?" There. It was to us, as if I had booked the suite. As if I had abandoned the hospital, as if I had turned my illness into a corporate opportunity. I'm not doing this to us, I said. I'm naming what you did to me. You're angry. I am. You're hurt. Yes, you're trying to punish me. No, punishment would require me to still care whether you learn. I'm protecting myself. His breathing changed. I imagined him in the lobby, suit jacket open, hair disordered just enough to seem sincere to strangers. The concierge probably pitied him. Nathan inspired pity beautifully. Come home, he said. No, I made a mistake. Which one? He paused. What? Name it, Evelyn. Name the mistake. I should have handled the timing better. Maya closed her eyes in disbelief. I felt something inside me detach, not break, detach. The timing, I repeated. I should have been at the hospital, he said quickly. I know that. Why weren't you? Serena was in crisis. Why was her crisis more important than my surgery? That's not fair, it's exact. He lowered his voice. Because you're strong. I looked toward the window, the city lights blurred. There it was, the oldest excuse: you can survive, so you get less. Serena collapses, so she gets rescue. Evelyn endures, so she gets abandoned. I am strong, I said. That's why you're outside. Then I hung up for a while. Neither Maya nor I spoke. Then she said, I need to tell you something. I looked at her. Her expression was careful. The leadership meeting is worse than we thought, Nathan added, an outside consultant to the invite. My stomach tightened. Serena, yes, I laughed once, cold and short. He's bringing her into the firm while I'm recovering from surgery. He's trying to normalize her presence before you challenge him. He really thinks I'm still in bed crying. You are in bed, not just crying. Maya smiled. No, not just. I picked up my laptop. My body protested immediately. Maya pointed at me. Do not even think about attending in person. I won't. Good, I'll attend. By video. No, yes, you are 5 days post-op. I founded the company post-divorce from exhaustion, pre-cancer, and during 2 recessions. A video call won't kill me. That sentence contains several reasons you need therapy. Later, she rubbed her forehead. Fine, but we prepare, no improvising, agreed. The next 2 days became a careful war fought from pillows. I rested in 90-minute blocks. Maya handled legal filings. Oliver collected records. I reviewed client histories and internal governance rules. Dr. Lynn's office sent a letter confirming that I was medically able to make decisions, though advised to limit stress and physical exertion. That letter mattered. Nathan wanted to paint me as unstable. Dr. Lynn gave us calm, clinical truth on Thursday afternoon. I received an email from Margaret. Subject, family. The word alone made me tired. I opened it. Evelyn, whatever has happened between you and Nathan, you should remember that marriage is not a business transaction. Men make mistakes. Women preserve families. Nathan has carried public responsibility for years while you worked behind the scenes. It is unfair to destroy his reputation because you are hurt. If you love him, you will stop this before there is no way back. Margaret, I read it 3 times. Then I forwarded it to Maya with one note. She admits reputation motive. Maya replied, she also admits you worked behind the scenes. Bless her arrogant heart. For the first time in days, I laughed without pain. Friday came. Grey and cold. Rain tapped against the apartment windows. I wore a loose black blouse that hid the surgical drains and made my face look less pale on camera. Maya positioned the laptop, adjusted the light, and placed a folder of documents within my reach. You speak only when needed, she said, no emotional speeches. I know, if Nathan provokes you. Pause. I know, if you feel pain. Maya, she stopped. I softened. I know. The leadership meeting opened at 10. Faces appeared on screen in neat squares. Nathan sat in the main conference room at the head of the table, my chair. Beside him sat Serena Vale. She wore cream silk, minimal jewelry, soft makeup, and the expression of a woman attending a memorial for someone not yet dead. Several directors looked uncomfortable. Oliver was in the room, face blank. Nathan began. Thank you, everyone, for joining on short notice. As you know, Evelyn is recovering from a serious medical procedure. We all wish her well. A few murmurs. I stayed muted. Nathan continued. Given her need for rest, I believe it's important we align around a temporary leadership structure that protects clients, employees, and the firm we've built together. He looked directly into the camera. Evelyn, I'm glad you're able to listen in. Please don't feel pressured to participate. I unmuted. Thank you, Nathan. I'm able to participate. His smile tightened. Serena lowered her eyes as if embarrassed on my behalf. Nathan moved on. I've invited Serena Vale to advise on external messaging. Serena has experience in personal brand recovery and client-facing narrative strategy. Oliver's mouth tightened almost imperceptibly. One director, Priya spoke. I wasn't aware we had approved an outside consultant. Nathan smiled. This is exploratory, I said. There is no signed engagement letter, no approved budget, and no conflict disclosure for MS. Vale. Serena looked up. Nathan's gaze cut to the camera. Evelyn, this is exactly the kind of detail we can spare you. During recovery, no, I said, this is exactly the kind of detail that keeps a company from becoming a personal expense account. The room went still. Nathan's smile disappeared. Maya, seated out of frame, slid a paper toward me. Stay calm. I was calm. That was what made it dangerous. Nathan folded his hands. Let's be careful with insinuations. Agreed. I clicked share screen. Maya had prepared the file. Expense summary. SV transition strategy. The first page appeared on every screen. Flights, resort, dining, boutique purchase, spa, car service, all charged under company codes. Serena's face drained. Nathan leaned forward. Take that down. I did not. Priya said slowly. What is SV transition strategy? A project code created under Nathan's executive account, I said. There is no client contract attached. Nathan's voice sharpened. This is confidential financial information. Yes, I said, company financial information, which leadership is entitled to review when discussing whether your personal guest should advise on external messaging. Serena whispered something to Nathan. He ignored her. This meeting is not a trial, he said. No, I said, it's a preview. That was the first time I saw fear in his eyes, not regret. Fear. It suited him badly. A senior director named James cleared his throat. Nathan, were these expenses approved? Nathan leaned back. They were categorized as business development. For Serena, Priya asked. Serena lifted her chin. I was invited because Nathan believed I could help the firm through a sensitive transition. What transition? Oliver asked. His first words of the meeting. Nathan shot him a look. Oliver did not look away. Serena's voice softened. Evelyn's health situation created uncertainty. Nathan wanted to protect everyone. There it was, the soft knife, my cancer as their opening. I unshared the expense report and opened the next document, the authorization form. This document was prepared before my surgery. I said, it would have given Nathan broad control over contracts, accounts, shareholder decisions, and asset protections based on my supposed medical incapacity. Nathan's face went red. It was never executed, because I refused to sign it, because you became paranoid. I smiled faintly. Then I opened the scan of Serena's sticky note. Get her to sign before anesthesia. M says fear will make her agreeable. No one spoke, not one person. Rain tapped the window beside me on screen. Serena looked as if someone had pulled the floor from under her. Priya said, very quietly, Serena, is that your handwriting? Serena opened her mouth, closed it. Nathan stood. This meeting is over. No, Priya said. He stared at her. She looked back at him with the calm of a woman who had just realized the house was on fire and knew exactly where the exits were. As a director, I am asking whether the person you invited to advise leadership helped pressure our founding partner to sign control documents before cancer surgery. The sentence landed like a verdict. Serena's eyes filled with tears. In my last life, those tears would have moved the room. They were beautiful tears, camera-ready tears, tears that asked people to protect her from consequences. This time, no one reached for her. I didn't understand the legal meaning. She whispered. Maya, off-screen, wrote something on her pad and turned it toward me. Good. Admission of involvement, Nathan said. She had nothing to do with this. Serena looked at him, startled. He was already choosing the nearest shield. I almost pitied her. Almost. Nathan, I said. His gaze snapped to me. You invited her into this meeting. You charged her expenses to the company. You discussed transition plans with her. You let her send me photos from your hotel room while I was in surgery. Do not insult this room by pretending she was uninvolved. A small sound moved through the meeting. Shock, maybe. Disgust. Serena's tears spilled over. Nathan's face turned hard. You're crossing a line. No, I said, I'm drawing one. Then I stopped sharing. My chest hurt. My side ached. Sweat had gathered at the base of my neck. Maya touched my shoulder. Enough, she was right. I looked into the camera. Formal materials will be sent to the board through council. Until then, no governance changes are authorized. No external consultant has authority to represent heart and coal strategy. Any further attempt to describe my medical recovery as incapacity will be met with documentation from my surgeon and legal response. I paused, then I added, I will not be erased from the company I founded because my husband mistook my surgery for an opportunity. I ended the call. My hands shook so badly I could not close the laptop. Maya did it for me. Then she helped me to the bathroom because victory does not make a body invincible. I vomited once from pain and adrenaline. Afterward, I sat on the floor in my expensive black blouse, breathing through tears. Maya crouched beside me. "You did it," she said. "I feel awful. Both can be true." I laughed weakly. "You keep saying that. You keep needing to hear it." My phone exploded within minutes. "Priya, we need to speak when you are able. I am deeply sorry, James. I had no idea. Please send formal documents, Oliver. The room changed after you left. Nathan is finished pretending." Then Nathan, dozens of calls, texts. "Evelyn, answer. You don't understand what you've done. Serena is threatening to hurt herself because of you. Call me now." That one made me cold. Maya read it over my shoulder and her expression hardened. "He's using her." "Crisis again." "No," I said, "he's using both of us." I typed back carefully. "If Serena is in danger, call emergency services. Do not contact me." Then I blocked the number. 2 hours later, Nathan emailed. Subject: "You went too far, Evelyn. I know you're hurt, but what you did today was cruel. Serena was humiliated in front of strangers. She trusted me, and now she is being painted as some kind of predator. Whatever issues exist between us, you had no right to weaponize private pain. I missed one surgery. I have apologized, but you are burning down a marriage and a company because I failed you during one difficult moment. Please stop before we both lose everything." Nathan, I read the line 3 times. "I missed one surgery, as if there had been another one scheduled for him to attend later. As if cancer waited politely for husbands to finish at the beach." I forwarded it to Maya. Then I opened a blank reply. I wrote, "Nathan, you did not miss one surgery. You chose another woman while your wife was under anesthesia. You used my illness to seek control over my company. You allowed your mother to pressure me before surgery. You brought your affair partner into a leadership meeting under a fake consulting premise. You charged her expenses to company accounts. This is not one difficult moment. This is a pattern with receipts. All further communication goes through counsel." Evelyn, Maya read it. "Send." I did. Then I closed the laptop and slept for 4 hours. When I woke, the rain had stopped. The city looked washed clean. For the first time since surgery, I stood at the window without holding onto furniture. Below, headlights moved like tiny decisions through the wet streets. I thought of the woman I had been in the first life. The woman who waited for Nathan to come home from Palm Coast and apologize. The woman who accepted flowers. The woman who let Margaret into her bedroom. The woman who signed because she was afraid that refusing would prove she was not a good wife. I wanted to hate her. I could not. She had been doing what she thought love required. I was alive because she had survived long enough to teach me otherwise. The next morning, Hart and Cole's board requested a formal emergency session. This time, not Nathan's leadership meeting, a real board meeting with counsel, with records, with voting power. Maya brought coffee and a new folder. On the front, she had written, "Reclaiming Hart." I touched the words. "Too dramatic?" she asked. "No," I said. "For once, dramatic felt exactly right." The first time I walked back into Hart and Cole's strategy after surgery, the lobby receptionist cried. Her name was Lena. She was 24, efficient, and usually impossible to rattle. She had once handled 3 furious CEOs, a fire alarm, and a broken espresso machine in the same morning without losing her smile. But when I stepped through the glass doors in a black coat, my left arm held carefully against my side, Lena stood up too fast and covered her mouth. "MS. Hart," she said, "not Mrs. Cole. MS. Hart." The correction moved through me like sunlight. "I'm all right," I told her. She nodded too quickly. "I know. I hoped. Sorry, it's okay." Her eyes flicked toward the elevators. "His upstairs." Of course he was. Nathan had arrived early. Men like him loved arriving early to rooms where they planned to perform control. Maya stood beside me with a leather case in one hand and murder in her posture. Oliver waited near the security gates, holding visitor badges for legal counsel and 2 external auditors. "You don't have to greet anyone," Maya murmured. "I'm not here to greet." I stepped through security. The office had not changed, and yet everything felt different. The polished concrete floor, the living plant wall, the framed magazine cover with Nathan in the center and me standing half a step behind him, the quote beneath it, "Nathan Cole on building a firm that puts trust first." Trust. I stopped in front of it. Maya saw. "Later?" she asked. "No." I reached up with my good arm, lifted the frame from the wall, and handed it to Oliver. "Storage," I said. His mouth twitched. "With pleasure." People watched from behind glass office walls. Some looked sympathetic, some looked nervous, some looked guilty, a few looked relieved. Whispers followed me. I did not resent them. Nathan had filled the silence I left behind. Now I had to walk through the noise to reclaim the room. The boardroom sat at the northeast corner, all glass and city views. I had chosen the table myself. Long walnut, matte finish, no sharp shine. Nathan used to Say it made him feel powerful. I used to think that was charming. Inside, the board members were already seated, Priya at the far end, tablet open, James near the window, two investor representatives, Dana and Howard, our outside corporate counsel, whom Nathan had apparently called first and regretted calling after Maya sent her evidence packet. And Nathan, he stood when I entered. That annoyed me more than if he had stayed seated. Evelyn, he said softly, his face was composed for the room. He wore navy. His hair was perfect, his eyes carried carefully measured exhaustion, the kind that suggested a man suffering nobly. Serena was not there, good or perhaps bad. I knew better than to assume absence meant irrelevance. Nathan, I said, no nickname, no warmth, no invitation. He glanced at Maya, then at the auditors. This seems excessive. Maya smiled. That's what people say before the accounting gets interesting. Priya stood and came around the table. She did not hug me. I appreciated that. Instead, she touched my right hand briefly. Thank you for coming, she said. Are you medically cleared to attend? Yes. I placed Dr. Lynn's letter on the table. With limits, I may take breaks, of course. Nathan's jaw tightened. There went one argument. We sat. I took the chair at the head of the table, my chair. Nathan remained standing for 1 second too long, then he sat on the side. Small things matter in rooms built for power. Priya opened the meeting. We are here to review governance authority, financial irregularities, and allegations of improper pressure placed on founding partner Evelyn Hartcole during medical treatment. This meeting is being recorded with consent. Nathan leaned forward. Before we begin, I need to state clearly that I object to the framing. This has become personal, painful, yes, but personal. We should not confuse marital conflict with corporate governance. I looked at him. He had always been good at sounding reasonable to people who did not know the facts. Priya nodded. Noted, Nathan continued, encouraged. I made a serious mistake in my marriage, I won't deny that, but Evelyn is turning a private betrayal into an institutional crisis that hurts employees, clients, everyone. Private betrayal. He wanted the surgery, the hotel room, the authorization form, Serena's fake consulting project, and company expenses all folded into the soft laundry of marriage. I opened my folder. Maya did not speak. This part was mine. Private betrayal became corporate governance when you used company funds on Serena Vale, I said. It became corporate governance when you created SV transition strategy without approval. It became corporate governance when you prepared a broad authorization form to shift control during my surgery. It became corporate governance when you told staff I was unstable and needed to step away. Nathan's expression tightened with each sentence. Howard, one of the investor representatives, adjusted his glasses. We should review documents. Yes, Priya said. Let's. Maya connected her laptop to the screen. The first document appeared, the original operating agreement for Hart Advisory Group, my name, my capital contribution, my ownership percentage. I felt Nathan looking at me. I did not look back. I narrated because I needed the room to hear my voice attached to the facts. Hart Advisory Group was formed 18 months before Nathan joined as a partner. I contributed the initial capital. I held 80% ownership. Nathan later received equity. Under a vesting structure tied to client development and leadership responsibilities. The next document, the amendment changing the name to Hart & Cole Strategy. The rebrand added Nathan's name for market positioning. It did not transfer majority control. The next, founder protection clause. No change in ownership, voting rights, executive authority, merger, sale, debt assumption, or material restructuring can occur without my written consent. Corporate counsel nodded reluctantly. That clause is valid, Nathan said. No one disputes the clause. I turned to him. You brought me a document to bypass it while I was fasting for surgery. His face darkened. Maya displayed the authorization form. The room read in silence. Dana frowned. This is broad. Too broad, corporate counsel said. Nathan's attorney, attending by video, cleared his throat. It was a draft, I said, a draft his mother brought to my hospital room 90 minutes before anesthesia. Maya displayed the hospital note. Patient declined to receive non-medical legal documents before surgery. Mother-in-law attempted to deliver company authorization paperwork, witnessed by attending surgeon and nursing staff. James muttered, Jesus. Nathan snapped, my mother was trying to help. Help who? Priya asked. The room went quiet. Nathan looked at her. She did not soften. Help Evelyn recover, he said. I opened another page. Margaret's email. If she resists, remind her that stress worsens cancer. Everyone will agree she should step back. The board likes Nathan. Clients trust Nathan. Evelyn is brilliant but cold. This may be the best time to simplify leadership. No one spoke. Brilliant but cold. I had heard variations of that phrase my entire career. It followed women who refused to giggle while carrying the work. Nathan stared at the screen. For the first time, he seemed angry at his mother, not because she had done wrong, because she had written it down. Dana looked at me. Did you know about this email before surgery? No, I found it after Nathan left for Palm Coast. The room shifted. There it was, the trip. Nathan closed his eyes briefly. Priya said, "We need to address that." Nathan's voice was controlled. "I have already acknowledged that I made a personal mistake." I looked at Maya. She changed slides, flight records, hotel booking, company expense coding, Serena's messages. The ocean suite, the photo of Nathan in bed, time-stamped while I was under post-operative monitoring. I did not look away from the screen, neither did anyone else. Nathan said, "This is humiliating and irrelevant." "No," I said. Humiliating was waking up from cancer surgery and learning my husband's first concern was whether I had signed over authority. Relevant is that the same trip was partially routed through company expense structures. Oliver spoke then. His voice was calm but carried. "I can confirm the expense coding came through the executive account." I questioned it. I was later removed from several finance review threads. Nathan turned on him. "Oliver, be careful." Oliver looked at him. "I am." 2 words, a whole rebellion. Maya moved to the SV transition strategy folder. No contract, no deliverables, no approval, expenses, emails. Nathan to Serena, "Once Evelyn signs the continuity papers, we can position your consulting project properly. Give it a quarter. The board will accept change if it looks gradual." Dana inhaled sharply. Howard leaned back. James looked disgusted. Priya's expression did not change, which meant she was furious. Nathan's attorney said, "Context is missing." Maya smiled. "Please provide it." No one did. Nathan finally leaned forward. The mask cracked. "Yes, I discussed bringing Serena in. She has relevant experience. She was your affair partner," I said. His jaw clenched. "Do not reduce her to that." "I didn't. You did. When you put her in my company under a fake project code instead of giving her a legitimate engagement." His eyes flashed there, his pride, wounded not by betrayal but by exposure. "You think you're the only reason this company succeeded," he said. "No," I said, "I think I was the reason you were allowed to pretend you were." The boardroom went silent, not uncomfortable silent, awake silent. Nathan stood so abruptly his chair rolled back. "You arrogant." "Sit down," Priya said. He stared at her. Priya's voice was cold. "Sit down." "Nathan." He sat. I felt no triumph, only a tired, clean sadness, because I had loved this man, because once, if he had sat across from me and said he felt overshadowed, I would have listened. I would have shared more publicly. I would have helped him build something of his own. Instead, he tried to take mine while I was unconscious. Some people do not want partnership. They want inheritance without waiting for death. Maya displayed the final section, governance remedies. Temporary suspension of Nathan's unilateral executive authority pending investigation, external audit of executive expenses, removal of Serena Vale from any formal or informal advisory role, client communication clarifying. Continuity under founder governance, review of Nathan's conduct under fiduciary duty provisions. Nathan's attorney objected. Expected. Corporate counsel looked grim. Also expected. The board discussed for 40 minutes. I spoke only when needed. My pain rose, wave after wave, until Maya slid medication toward me and called for a 10-minute break in the hallway. I leaned against the wall near the conference room. Nathan followed. Maya started to step between us, but I shook my head, not because I trusted him, because cameras were above us, because witnesses were nearby, because I wanted to hear what a cornered man chose when he thought softness might still work. He stopped 3 feet away, up close. He looked less polished. There were faint shadows under his eyes, a small nick on his jaw from shaving too fast. "Evelyn," he said. I waited. His voice dropped. "Please don't finish this." "Which part?" "The audit, the suspension, the divorce, all of it." "You mean consequences?" "I mean destruction." I looked through the glass wall at the boardroom. People moved around the table, reading documents that should never have had to exist. "You built this," I said. I was lost. I almost laughed. Men always found poetic names for selfishness. "You were not lost," I said. "You were in Palm Coast." He flinched. "Good. Specific truth is harder to romanticize." "I loved you," he said. My chest tightened. I hated that it still hurt. "No," I said, "you loved being forgiven by me." His eyes glistened. That surprised me. "Not enough to change anything. You don't understand what Serena was to me," he said. "I understand exactly. She was the woman who let you feel chosen without being known." He stared at me. I continued, quietly, "I knew you. That was the problem." His face twisted. "That's not fair. You keep saying that when I'm accurate." He looked away for a moment. He seemed younger, less powerful. less sure. The man beneath the performance peeked out, and he was small. Then he said, "If you do this, I lose everything." I looked at him for a long moment. In my last life, he had watched me lose health, company, dignity, home, and name. Now he wanted sympathy for losing stolen access. "No," I said, "you lose what was never yours." He stepped closer. "And us." I thought of the ring in my evidence box, the hospital ceiling, Serena's hand on his chest, Margaret's tote bag, the authorization form, the nurse asking if my husband had arrived. "There is no us," I said. "There is the woman you abandoned and the man who thought she would stay useful." His eyes closed. When he opened them, softness had hardened into resentment. "You'll be alone," he said. There he was, the man who emerged when pity failed. I smiled faintly. I was alone on the operating table. I survived. The break ended. We returned to the room. This time Nathan did not look at me. The vote took less than 10 minutes. Nathan's unilateral executive authority was suspended pending investigation. The external audit was approved. Serena Vale was barred from company systems, meetings, expenses, and client communications. A formal client statement would be drafted under my review. Nathan remained a partner in name until legal process concluded, but his access was restricted. He sat motionless as each measure passed. When Priya announced the final result, the room did not applaud. This was not celebration, it was surgery, necessary, bloody, long overdue. After the meeting, people left carefully, as if sudden movement might crack the air. Oliver stayed behind. "So," he said, awkward for the first time since I'd known him. "Welcome back." I laughed softly, pain stabbed. I winced. He looked alarmed. "I'm fine," I said. Maya muttered, "She is not fine. She is legally victorious and medically stubborn." Oliver smiled, then he grew serious. "I should have told you sooner. You tried, not hard enough." I looked at him. "Oliver, Nathan was very good at making concern look like loyalty. He fooled people who loved me. Of course he fooled employees." He swallowed. "I didn't like the way he talked about you." "What did he say?" Oliver hesitated. "Tell me." He said the firm needed warmth, that you were brilliant, but clients wanted someone human. I absorbed that. Brilliant but cold, not human enough. The old wound opened, but smaller this time, maybe because I finally saw the source. Nathan had needed my mind and resented needing it, so he called me cold to make my competence feel like a flaw. I used to believe that, I said. Oliver looked startled. "You shouldn't have." "No, but I did." I turned toward the window. The city stretched below, indifferent and bright. Now I think warmth without integrity is just performance. Maya's phone rang. She stepped aside to answer, listened for a moment, then looked at me. "What?" I asked. Her expression sharpened. "Nathan's attorney wants to discuss settlement." "Already?" "They used the word discreet." I smiled. Discretion was what powerful people requested when evidence had them by the throat. "What do they offer?" Maya listened, then repeated, "Mutual non-disparagement, no admission of wrongdoing. Nathan remains with the firm in a reduced public role, divorce financials sealed, Serena not mentioned." I laughed once. Everyone looked at me. "Counter," I said. Maya's eyes gleamed. "Go on." "Nathan resigns from all executive functions. His equity is bought out under the misconduct discount provision. He repays misused company funds. Serena is named in the audit where relevant. Divorce proceeds separately. No reconciliation language, no joint statement. About privacy and healing, I keep the house or force sale. He keeps his personal debt." Maya repeated it into the phone with visible pleasure. A pause, then Nathan's attorney apparently objected. Maya looked at me. I said, "Also, he pays my legal fees for any motion based on alleged medical incapacity." Maya grinned and added it. Another pause, then she hung up. "They're offended. They should get used to it." We left the boardroom at 4. The office had gone quiet, but not dead. People worked. Phones rang. A client laughed in a conference room. The firm continued, not because Nathan held it together, because hundreds of people did their jobs while he confused himself with the institution. Near the elevators, I stopped at the wall where the magazine cover had hung. The space was empty now. A pale rectangle against grey paint. I touched the wall lightly. Someday something else would hang there, not my portrait. I had no interest in replacing one vanity with another. Maybe a framed copy of our first client contract, maybe the original Hart Advisory Group filing. Proof that the firm had a history before Nathan learned to stand in front of cameras. The elevator opened. Nathan was inside, alone. For a second, neither of us moved. Maya's hand hovered near my elbow. Nathan looked at the empty wall, then at me. "You took it down," he said. "Yes." His mouth tightened, trying to erase me. "No," I said, correcting proportion. The elevator doors began to close. He put out a hand to stop them. "Evelyn." I waited. His voice was low. "Serena left. I felt nothing at first, then something like grim amusement. Left where? The hotel, the city, me, I don't know. He swallowed. She said this wasn't what she signed up for. Of course she did. Serena wanted the man on the magazine cover, the executive suite. The smooth transition, the wife too sick to resist. She had not wanted audit trails, I said. That sounds like a personal matter. He flinched. Good, let him hear his own language returned. I lost her. Too, he said. There it was too, as if we were both grieving equal losses. Nathan, I said, very calmly, you did not lose me and Serena, you spent me to chase her, then discovered she was shopping with your credit. His face twisted. Maya made a strangled sound that might have been a suppressed laugh. Nathan looked away for 1 second. He seemed ruined, but ruin is not the same as remorse. I stepped into the elevator with Maya. Nathan stepped out. We changed places without touching as the doors closed. He said, I'm sorry. The words arrived late, bare, maybe even real, but apology is not a time machine. The doors sealed shut between us. I exhaled. Maya glanced at me. You okay? I watched the numbers descend. I think I just heard the thing I used to want most, and it sounded smaller than freedom. The divorce did not happen with thunder. It happened in a conference room that smelled like coffee, printer toner, an expensive restraint, no dramatic courthouse steps, no shouting reporters, no rain against windows, just a long table, 2 legal teams, a stack of documents, and the man I had once loved sitting across from me with a pen he could not seem to pick up. By then, 6 weeks had passed since my surgery. My drains were gone, my range of motion had improved. Pathology had come back better than my nightmares and worse than denial. There would be follow-up treatment, monitoring, fatigue, fear. Survival was not a clean door you walked through once, but I was alive and I was present. Nathan looked thinner, not tragically, just diminished. The kind of thinner that comes when a man loses the invisible machinery that made his life smooth. The audit had been brutal, company funds misused, unauthorized project codes, undisclosed conflict involving Serena Vale, attempts to obtain overly broad authorization from a medically vulnerable founder, improper internal messaging regarding my capacity. The board had not needed scandal to act. The evidence was enough. Nathan resigned from executive leadership 3 days before formal removal could proceed. His equity buyout was reduced under misconduct provisions he had once skimmed past because he assumed such clauses applied to other men. Serena disappeared from public view after 2 sponsors dropped her brand consulting seminar. Apparently, personal brand recovery became harder to sell when your own brand involved seducing a married executive during his wife's cancer surgery and leaving handwritten notes about making fear useful. Margaret sent one final email through a family friend. You have destroyed my son. I did not reply. Maya did. Mrs. Cole, do not contact my client directly or indirectly again. I framed that one in my heart. Now Nathan sat across from me in a grey suit, no tie. His attorney whispered something to him. Nathan nodded but still did not pick up the pen. I knew that expression. He was waiting for a private emotional door to open. The conference room had none. Maya sat beside me, calm, ruthless, prepared. Nathan finally looked up. Can I speak to Evelyn alone? No, Maya and I said at the same time. His mouth twisted with something like pain. I deserve 5 minutes. I stuttered him. Deserve still after everything. The word survived. No, I said. His attorney shifted. Perhaps a brief conversation could help finalize. It won't, I said. Maya added. All terms are finalized. Nathan leaned back, eyes on me. You used to be kinder. The old insult in funeral clothes. I folded my hands. No, I said, I used to be more available. His eyes flickered. Evie, my name is Evelyn. He closed his mouth. The mediator cleared her throat gently. We are here to execute the marital settlement agreement. Both parties have reviewed terms with counsel. Nathan gave a short laugh. Terms? Yes, I said. That's what adults use when trust is gone. He looked down at the papers. The settlement was fair, not generous. Fair. The house would be sold, with my premarital contribution returned first. Nathan would retain personal assets purchased with his own funds. He would assume debts tied to his personal accounts. He waived spousal support. I waived any claim to the parts of him that had never been mine anyway. No mutual statement about love. No language about privacy during healing. No suggestion that we separated after a difficult season. The agreement stated irreconcilable differences, a phrase too small for what happened, but legally useful. Nathan turned one page, stopped. This clause, he said. Maya did not look down. Non-interference. It says I can't contact her except through counsel for 18 months. Correct, I'm not a threat. I looked at him. He looked away first. You showed up at my apartment after I told you not to. I said, you tried to enter my hospital room. Your mother contacted me through third parties. Serena sent harassment, 18 months is generous. His jaw worked. I was trying to fix things. You were trying to regain access. That's not fair. For the first time, the phrase did not even irritate me, it bored me. Sign, Nathan. He stared at me. Maybe he expected my voice to shake, maybe he expected tears, maybe he expected the ghost of the woman who once looked at him in our wedding photo to rise up and beg for an alternate ending. But she was gone. No, not gone, integrated. I carried her with me. But she no longer drove. Nathan picked up the pen, his hand hovered, then he said, very quietly, "Did you ever love me?" The question was cruel because the answer was easy. Yes. His eyes reddened. I continued, "That's why this took so long." He swallowed. "Then how can you walk away like this?" I looked around the conference room at Maya's steady hand, at the documents, at the window reflecting a woman thinner than before but upright. "Because loving you almost cost me my life," I said. "Leaving you gave it back." No one spoke. Nathan signed page after page. When my turn came, I signed with the same hand that had signed my surgical consent, the same hand that had once signed trust into the wrong places. This signature felt different, not romantic, not triumphant, clean. When the final page was done, the mediator collected the documents. "Pending court processing. The agreement is complete." Nathan looked at me as if expecting me to change now that it was real. I stood. So did he? Reflex, maybe, or habit. "Evelyn," he said. I paused at the door. He seemed to search for the perfect sentence. Nathan had always believed language could rescue him if he arranged it beautifully enough. No sentence came. Finally, he said, "I'm sorry I wasn't there." I looked at him. In another life, those words might have been water in a desert. In this one, they were a cup offered after I had already crossed. "I know," I said. Hope flashed in his eyes. I ended it gently because cruelty would have connected us longer. But then I left. Outside, the air was cold enough to wake my lungs. Maya walked beside me down the sidewalk, carrying the signed copies in her bag. "You handled that well," she said. "I wanted to scream once. Only once, 3 times. But one was loud." She smiled. A black car waited at the curb, but I did not get in immediately. Across the street, a bakery had a line out the door. People in coats stood holding coffees, laughing, checking phones, living ordinary lives for years. I had thought ordinary was something I needed to earn by being good enough, good wife, good daughter-in-law, good partner, good patient, good victim. Now ordinary looked simpler. A morning without defending my pain, a bank account no one drained, a phone that did not light up with demands disguised as love, a body healing at its own pace, a company where my name was not hidden behind a man's confidence. "Do you want to go to the office?" Maya asked. "Yes." "You sure?" "No, but yes." She laughed, still stubborn, still alive. Heart and Coal strategy became Heart Advisory again on a clear Monday in December. No gala, no champagne tower, no dramatic banner drop, just a formal announcement to clients, employees, and partners. Heart Advisory Group will continue under the leadership of founding partner Evelyn Hart. The email was factual, professional, short. Mine. We held an internal meeting afterward. I stood at the front of the same boardroom where Nathan had tried to sideline me. The magazine cover was gone. In its place hung a framed copy of our first signed client contract, dated years before Nathan's name joined mine. I wore a dark green suit because black felt too much like mourning and white felt too much like pretending to be reborn untouched. I was touched, scarred, changed. That was not failure, that was evidence. The room filled with employees, some old, some new, some who had believed Nathan, some who had doubted him, some who simply wanted to work at a firm that was no longer quietly at war with itself. Oliver stood near the finance team. Priya sat in the front row. Maya leaned against the back wall, pretending she was not emotional. I stepped to the front. For a second, the old fear rose, brilliant but cold, not warm enough, not human enough. I looked at the faces in front of me and decided not to perform warmth. Integrity would have to be enough. "Thank you for being here," I said. The room quieted. "I won't pretend the last few months were easy. Many of you were placed in an unfair position. You were given partial information. Some of you were asked to trust authority that had not earned your trust." I paused. Nathan would have softened that sentence. I did not. This firm was built to help clients face hard truths before those truths became disasters. We failed to do that internally. That changes now. People listened, not comfortably. Good. Comfort had covered too much. "We will complete the external audit. We will strengthen conflict policies. We will protect employees who raise financial or ethical concerns. We will not use personal loyalty as a substitute for governance, and we will not describe someone's medical vulnerability as a business opportunity." Oliver looked down. Priya's eyes shone. I took a breath. My chest pulled, but held. "As for me, I am still recovering. I will be transparent about my limits. I will not confuse overwork with strength. I will not ask any of you to do that either. That was not in the prepared notes, Maya noticed. Her smile was small. I continued. Heart advisory does not need a myth at the center of it. It needs good work, clean records, direct communication, and people who know the difference between ambition and entitlement. A few soft laughs. The tension broke, not completely enough, when the meeting ended. People did not rush me. They came one at a time. A senior associate apologized for believing Nathan's version. I thanked her and told her to judge documents faster next time. She laughed, then cried. Lena from reception brought me a small card signed by the administrative team. Oliver handed me a revised expense control policy and said, "Too soon." I said, "Never." For the first time in months, the firm felt less like a battlefield and more like a place where work could happen. That afternoon, I went to the old house one final time. The sale was pending. The rooms echoed. Nathan had already taken his things, or most of them. His absence looked smaller than I expected. A few empty hangers, dust outlines where awards had been, one abandoned cufflink under the dresser. The wedding photo still lay face down where I had left it. I picked it up. The woman in the picture looked happy. No, she looked hopeful. There was a difference. I did not hate her. I touched the glass lightly. "You tried," I whispered. Then I removed the photo from the frame, not to burn it, not to dramatize the end. I placed it in a folder with the divorce documents, the surgery consent, Serena's messages, Margaret's emails, and the authorization form I refused to sign. A record, not a shrine, not a wound, a record. As I closed the folder, the doorbell rang. For a second, my body reacted before my mind did. Fear is a fast historian. I checked the camera. Nathan stood on the porch. No lawyer, no mother, no Serena, just Nathan, hands in his coat pockets, face pale in the winter light. I should have ignored him, but the house was being sold, the divorce was signed. The non-contact clause had not yet formally begun because court processing was still pending, and there was a camera recording. I opened the door with the chain in place. His eyes went to the chain. Pain crossed his face. Good, I thought, and then corrected myself. Not good, just accurate. What are you doing here? I asked. I heard the firm changed its name today. Yes, he nodded slowly. Heart Advisory. It was always the first name. I know. That surprised me. He looked past me into the house. I remember when you filed the original paperwork, you stayed up all night because you wanted the operating agreement perfect. I said nothing. He smiled faintly, bitterly. I brought takeout. You said cold noodles were a tax-deductible founding expense. The memory hit softly. Not all ghosts are monsters. Some carry paper bags and laugh in kitchens before they learn how to betray you. Nathan's smile faded. I did love you, he said. I believed him. That was the worst part. I know. His eyes filled. I ruined it. Yes. No softening. No rescue. He nodded as if the word struck him and settled where it belonged. Serena called, he said. She wanted me to say the expenses were my idea. All of them. Were they? Most. I almost smiled. At least he had found one honest corner in the wreckage. She said you destroyed her life. No, I said. She documented it. He looked down. I keep thinking about the hospital, he said. I keep seeing you in that bed. You weren't there. I know. That's why I keep seeing it. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The winter wind moved through the bare branches behind him. I thought you would always be there when I came back, he said. There it was. The whole marriage reduced to one sentence. He did not think I would be unharmed. He thought I would be available. I was, I said, for too long. He looked at the chain again. Is there any version of us where I can make it right? The old me stirred not to return, to witness the question she had once prayed for. I answered for both of us. No. His face crumpled slightly. I did not look away. He deserved the dignity of truth, and I deserved the freedom of not managing his reaction. I can forgive parts of what happened someday, I said, for myself, not as an invitation, not as a bridge, not as a way back. He swallowed. You sound different. I am. Because of me. No, I said. Because I finally stopped making you the center of the lesson. That landed quietly. He nodded, then he reached into his coat. I stiffened. He saw it and froze, pain crossing his face again. Slowly, he pulled out a small velvet box. My wedding ring. I found it in my drawer, he said. I don't know why I had it. I did. After I took it off at the hospital, I left it on the consent form. Nathan must have picked it up before leaving, perhaps out of habit, perhaps possession. He held it through the gap where the chain allowed. I did not take the box. Keep it, I said. His brows pulled together. I don't want it. Neither do I. Then sell it. Throw it away. I'm done giving objects emotional authority. His hand lowered for some reason that broke him more than if I had thrown it in his face. He nodded. I'm sorry. Evelyn. This time, he said my name correctly. Not Evie, not wife Evelyn. Goodbye, Nathan. I closed the door, the chain rattled softly. I stood there until his footsteps left the porch. Then I leaned against the door and cried, not because I wanted him back, because endings still hurt when they are right, because the body remembers love even after the mind signs release papers, because freedom is not numbness, freedom is choosing not to reopen the cage just because someone finally knocks politely. When the tears passed, I washed my face, picked up the folder, and walked through the empty house one last time. In the kitchen, I remembered Nathan making coffee in the dining room, Margaret criticizing the centerpiece I had chosen in the living room, Serena once touching the mantel and saying, "You have such a beautiful life," as if admiring a dress she planned to borrow in the bedroom. I remembered being afraid, then I remembered leaving. That memory mattered most. I locked the door behind me and returned the key to the realtor. 3 months later, Dr. Lynn told me my scans looked good, not perfect. Medicine rarely offers perfect, but good. I sat in his office, fully dressed, hair shorter now, scar tissue tight beneath my blouse, and listened to him explain follow-up schedules, risk, monitoring, medication options. This time, I did not hear the words through panic. I took notes, asked questions, made decisions. When we finished, Dr. Lynn closed my file. "You seem stronger," he said. I smiled. "I'm not sure that's the word. What word would you use?" I thought about it. "Not healed, not fearless, not reborn, even though I was clear," I said. He nodded. "Clear is good." Outside the hospital, spring had begun early. Trees along the street showed tiny green buds. The air smelled like rain and traffic and coffee from the cart near the entrance. I stood beneath the same awning where Nathan had left me months before. Back then, I had carried a bag full of medical records and a heart full of ash. Now I carried a follow-up plan, a company under my own name, a divorce decree, and a life that no longer needed permission. My phone buzzed, a message from Maya. "Court processed, final decree. You are officially free. Also, eat lunch." I laughed. Then another message from Oliver. "Client renewal signed. Heart advisory lives." Then one from Lena. "The new lobby sign is up. It looks badass." I opened the attached photo. Heart advisory group, clean letters, no ampersand joining my name to a man who mistook partnership for possession. I looked at the sign for a long time. In my first life, my name had become smaller and smaller until even I forgot how to say it without his attached. Now it stood alone, not lonely, complete. I walked to the curb, then stopped across the street. A couple argued quietly near a parked car. The woman's hand moved to the ring on her finger. The man leaned close, saying something I could not hear. For a moment, I wanted to cross over and warn her, "Check the papers, save the messages. Do not confuse being strong with being endlessly available." But her story was not mine to enter, so I stood there, a stranger with scars, silently hoping she would choose herself sooner than I had. Then I turned away. At the office, the new sign gleamed in the lobby. Lena grinned when I walked in. Well, I looked at it. Heart advisory group, my first company, my second life, my own door. "It's perfect," I said. Upstairs, work waited, emails, clients, budgets, meetings, treatment appointments scheduled between strategy calls, because life did not become simple just because I became free, but it became mine. That evening, after everyone left, I stood alone in the boardroom. The city burned gold beyond the glass. On the wall hung the first client contract. Below it, a small plaque Oliver had ordered without asking. Founded by Evelyn Hart. I touched the edge of the frame. Then I opened the evidence folder one final time. The ring photo, the hospital form, the Ocean Suite screenshot, the authorization document, the sticky note, the divorce decree. I did not need to look at them anymore, but I did not destroy them. People like Nathan rely on women forgetting the exact shape of what happened. I would not forget. I would simply stop living. Inside it, I placed the folder into the locked archive cabinet and turned the key. Outside the boardroom, the office lights dimmed automatically. One by one, the rooms softened into evening. I took my coat from the chair. For once, no one was waiting at home to ask where I had been. No one was angry that dinner was late. No one needed me to make their betrayal comfortable. My apartment had books on the floor, flowers I bought for myself, medication on the counter, and a balcony where morning light arrived without permission. It was not the life I imagined when I married Nathan. It was better because it was honest. As I stepped into the elevator, my reflection appeared in the polished doors. Short hair, pale face, sharp eyes, scarred body, empty ring finger. I looked tired. I looked alive. The elevator doors began to close. For the first time in 2 lives, I did not wonder who would choose me. I pressed the lobby button myself.